Alright, so what we're going to be doing today is I tore the carb out of this 86 Ford F250 I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And the reason I did that was I had bought this and it drives fine, you know, on the flat down the highway. But the moment you hit any sort of incline or hill, it just starts to sputter and bog down real hard, almost to the point of where it's going to die. And then I was able to get it nursed a little bit to where I could get it on a flat spot on top of a hill, and then it ran fine until I hit the next hill. So what I figured was it kind of seemed like maybe we were getting a fuel delivery issue. I've never worked on one of these before, so kind of just starting in one place and see if that is going to do anything. The carb was pretty gummed up, and the seals were all pretty junk, as I'll show you here in a minute. But as you can see, this truck has sat for a long time. I got a bunch of mice pellets all throughout here everywhere we look. It looks like they hadn't got into the wiring, and the truck runs fine. Everything works on it, so I'm pretty happy about that, considering the fact that we had some mice in here at one point. But I also got to get some spark plugs too, and since I pulled one out and they are just total junk. So we'll go and start resealing the carb, and then go from there. Alright, so here's what we're looking at so far with the carb. I went ahead and tore this valve assembly off the side here earlier when I was checking out the seals. You could see here, this is kind of what I initially found right off the bat. That just very crusty seal right there. So that's pretty much the story for this whole thing. So we'll see if we can't get it cleaned up. I'm not gonna worry about getting all this stuff off for right now, because there's a lot more work that needs done to the truck before we get to that point of worrying about that. But I'm gonna try to rebuild what they got, you know, what came in this kit that I got from Jags. You can see there's the information on it. I don't know if there's anything back there. Yeah, I bought this off Jags. Really great price, you know, for a Holley 4-barrel is what this is. You know, this is a Motorcraft, but I think it comes up as a Holley 4-barrel. So we'll see if we can get everything to fit and get it thrown back on the truck. Alright, so this kit had some of the seals that I was needing. I didn't go ahead and, dig through every single one in there. I'm going to keep them just in case. This is just me being kind of lazy and replacing what I'm getting to eat readily easily. I already went through and I cleaned out a lot of these passages in here before the video. I didn't end up recording any of that, but I don't have this seal right here. That did not come with the kit, and clearly this one is pretty ragged. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously order that seal, and then I'm going to order a new one of these as well. And then, yeah, I think I'll probably dig around here for a second and see if there's anything else that I'm needing. But, then we'll be back once I get parts. Alright, so we've got this truck running late last night. Kind of took a couple days waiting on parts. Well, I guess a couple weeks waiting on parts, and then a couple days just kind of throwing things back together and troubleshooting along the way. Like I posted in the text, I forgot to put the overflow, or not the overflow, but the transfer tube between the float bowls, between the front float bowl and the rear valve assembly. So we got it all back together, and then was having the same issue. I'd go up hills and it would die. Well, comes to find out that that's just essentially all operator error. I'm new to these older trucks, so when I filled this up when I bought it to bring it back out to the house, I filled up the front tank here, and then never even noticed this rear tank right there. So what I found out was happening was the fuel transfer switch, which fuel tank transfer switch, which sits like right next to the transfer case on the driver's side. On this one, we don't have it doesn't have a filter on it. I guess apparently some of the old ones have a filter on it. But what I didn't know is right here, you can see is the fuel tank switch. So essentially what I did was I went down underneath and smacked that fuel transfer switch a couple of times with, sorry about the noise there. I smacked it a couple of times with a wrench, and I was able to get it to transfer over. So we'll give it a fire up here and see if we can show you how it runs. Essentially fires right up. I still need to get some spark plugs in here, so we're essentially running off of 7 cylinders right now. But for a cold start, you know, it's pretty decently early in the morning here, as you can see. But yeah, I ran it around the block. Obviously don't have any more issues. That rear tank was completely empty. I just thought the fuel tank, or you know, the fuel gauge didn't work, but it turns out it does. So once I got it to swap over, it runs great now. So I'm not too upset that I changed out some of the gaskets in the carburetor. They were looking pretty crusty. As long as it you know, runs as good as it did the first time I drove it down the highway, I guess we're good to go. So thanks for tuning in. If you like what you saw here, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see some more content. Thanks.